So everyone talks about supply chain these days, but no one really knows how to assess it. In the industry or in the news, we never hear anything, but the New York Federal Reserve created an index that helps us actually quantify it and in a qualitative way also look at how it's improving. Why is this important? As we see here, we've been looking into this table in the last videos that even though raising rates is kind of cooling down a little bit the economy, most of the stuff or components of inflation won't be affected by rates. So for example, the supply chain issues and the housing issues, that's more for Congress because that requires policy instead of monetary changes, such as increasing interest rates, which is a completely different scope of thought. So we want to see that this is our new index that we are looking, the Global Supply Chain Index. Basically, it's a combination of various components. So the Baltic Dry Index, we will explain that in a bit, the Harper Index, the Bureau of Labor Statistics on imports and exports from inbound and outbound cargo prices. So talks about the prices to import or export different materials via air. And we also have the PMI, which is a bunch of surveys from around the world, like around different industries. And they talk all about delivery delay, arrears, and shares purchase for inventory. So as you can see, in 2007, the PMI came to place. Before that, we had another way of measuring manufacturing indices. And recently, you have seen since COVID-19 hit, this is actually showing the standard deviation from the average value. So that means the pressure, like how much are we changing on that pressure of getting our supply chains completely smoothly. As you can see, since 2020, it just shot up, then it went down because no one was buying anything. The economy basically just wasn't producing much for a few months. And then once it reopened, it spiked up almost to get to like 4.3 standard deviations. It's cooling down a little bit. It's just above 2.5%, which is pretty high for the index. So it's improving, but not as much as we would like still. So the components are the Baltic Index. So basically it's the shipping of raw materials cost, how much it costs via sea to ship raw materials. Remember that shipping via sea is the cheapest way and the most efficient because by volume and by price is the cheapest one. So and also most of the cargo is shipped by train. So as you can see here in the chart on the left, you can see that the price now the index is at 1560. So basically we are back to 2020 levels, which is great news, but we should see this going further down. And usually it's not that great that shipping raw materials are going down because that means also the economy is cooling off. But for now, we will analyze just based on the price level. So also the Harper Index, it measures the prices of the containers, right? Because you can have tons of cargo ships ready to sail, but if you don't have the containers, well, that will be a problem. The issue here is, look at the graph on the right, it's barely going down, not because of prices, but because there is no availability. So I think China and the US have had some sort of a war on like holding to those containers. So the rest of the world is not able to find those containers. So prices have stayed up by a lot. And then also we have the cargo prices, which varies a lot, but we're not going to analyze it in this case because the Baltic Index and the Harper Index are compromising of most of the world's economy, while the cargo prices are just for the US. We also see the PMI surveys. So the PMI surveys are basically what S&P Global with Market does. They survey around 400 companies, and every month, by the fourth day of every month, they actually provide all this information and refresh the data. So you can see here the contribution to the GSCPI in standard deviations for March and April. They haven't published the May one yet. So you can see China and the delivery times and Great Britain backlogs and Asia outbound components are the ones that are putting the most pressure, because China and delivery times are due to the COVID restrictions that we still have. What's improving a lot? The Europe inbound, the USA backlogs, the European outbound, the Harpex index, which we already show, is going down, down, down. And also the TWN delivery times here, right by Europe inbound, is going up a little bit. And this is a little worry too, because if China proves that they will invade Taiwan, all the Taiwanese delivery times, purchase inventory, inbound, outbound, will be severely affected. And remember that around 70% of all cargo goes through the strait between China and Taiwan. So that will be terrible news for supply chain. So hopefully this improves. Hopefully China doesn't retaliate with Nancy Pelosi's visit. And hopefully we finally start seeing some decreases in the pressure of the supply chain. Thank you for watching.